Hello, everyone. Welcome back to WXUT 88.3, Toledo's only alternative, and this is AJ with the Plexi Film Show. And today, we are going to be talking about it's an anime that came out in 2012. It's about when Koichi Sakakibara transfers to a new school, and he can sense something frightening in this atmosphere of his new class. A secret none of them will talk about. At the center of this is a beautiful girl, Mei Misaki. That's the best way to put it. So this show is pretty much about a cursed class. It's called Class 3 specifically, and this class has been cursed for years. And to make things better or worse, they have to act like one of their students because of the number of desks is too much. So they have to make sure that one of them is supposedly dead. They have to ignore this person and act like they're dead so this curse is not going to happen. And that was a way that they figured out back then. And this series that we're seeing with these events happening again is like years after the fact of the first event. So I would have to say this show is really beautiful. I love the creepy, gritty atmosphere that this show gives off, and I really love it so much that I have the novel, which is where this first started, and then it went to a graphic novel, and then it turned into a show, and then I think a live action as well, which I feel like animes in general should not be turned into live action. That's just me personally. Especially when it comes to stuff that goes from animated to live action. If it's done well, but something like Scott Pilgrim, like that turned out really good. Like it turned from graphic novel to movie, which they did phenomenal. It's hard to do that, but they went to an anime TV show. So I feel like if it's a TV show, I feel like it could do well. I don't know. I personally just think animes or like graphic novels or cartoons should not be transferred into live actions. I would have to say I'd give the show a 7.3 out of 10. The show is dark and gruesome and a mystery that I love, but has some clunky jumpiness that is messy. Yeah, I was rewatching the show for the second/third time and this week, and I just feel like it's very jumpy. Like I could totally tell it was made for TV because there is some jumpy elements to it, but you would think they would replay it a little bit to make it flow a little better or just continue it to flow better. I don't know. I just feel like it's really clinky. It jumps all over the place. I don't know. Maybe that's the whole point, but I feel like they could have done something better to let us know that there was like a time jump or something. I don't know. I feel like they need to figure something out, but other than that, there are some things in this universe that also kind of peeve me off, especially the adults. Like, why are they so stupid? Why would they let this school or class specifically, or the school, let this class fill up in the first place? Like, do they have to? Do they have to fill this class up? I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like that's a theory to think about right now. Like, what would happen if this class is never filled? Does the curse continue just randomly for the students that were in that class and the people that are, familiar or, in the part of the family? I don't know. There's something to think about. I just kind of thought about right now. Like, why do they have to fill it up? You can just not have that class, just condemn it. Like, no, or just, no offense, shut this school down and go somewhere else, out of town. I don't know. Because in this show, it shows and talks about that the curse doesn't work outside of the town. So why don't they just either close down the school, do not fill up the class, or just move this town and shut it down? I don't know. Maybe it's too big of a town. It looks like a bit too big of a town to even be shut down in the first place. But I would say just do not fill up the class. I feel like that's the best way to do it. IMDb gives this show a 7.5 out of 10. I feel like we both, know what's up with the show. I feel like the critics weren't too crazy hard on the show because it is still such a really good show. I feel like the last two episodes could have done justice with just one episode. I feel like the second to last episode was a little drawn on too much, same with the last one. But other than that, I feel like it ended fine. The ending is a big twist for sure. I did not. Spoilers ahead. Again, this whole show is about spoilers, obviously. Spoilers ahead. Koichi killing his aunt. I thought that was his sister for the longest time, but it's his aunt. I don't know why I thought it was his sister, but it's aunt, which is a teacher. Which is really sad that he has to kill his own aunt, which pretty much, again, because she came back alive and she doesn't know that she's died before, which is one thing that's really sad about the show. Every time this, class or school is a thing, there's always someone that's dead and they don't know about it. It's just so creepy to think about. The commenter, Carfeller, I don't know, he posted this on June 4th, 2020, and I think I watched a show during then too. He said, a story is presented, small flashes of not-so-happy images are presented in the middle of the plot, giving the atmosphere to the plot. A good performance, some loose ends, but it brings some surprise in the end. Without putting heavy scenes and close to the real, if you like suspense with a touch of horror and fantasy, a great choice. And I agree, if you like gruesomeness and you like mystery, like the first 4 or 5 episodes are heavy mystery, you don't know what's going on, especially with Mei Misaki, like, oh my gosh, figuring out that she was a doll and like figuring out that just her whole family past is still confusing. And I've watched a lot of videos on it and it's just like, wow. But I think her power of her eye seeing who is dead is crazy to think about, because I understand like she doesn't want people to see her messed up eye, but obviously if you have an eye patch, it's not people are still going to notice that you have a messed up eye, because usually when you have an eye patch, it's messed up. So I don't know, I just feel like she should just reveal it without saying anything still. So I don't know, I just feel like with her powers being used at the beginning would be helpful. But I also get not telling Koichi who the actual dead person is, considering it is someone in his family, which is sad. But some of the themes that this show has dived into, it goes into paranoia, aka trying to figure out who's going to die next. You got to be careful of your surroundings, what you do, and every action you do. There's paranoia everywhere you go. There's grief, aka Koichi killing his aunt and getting close to his classmates and just seeing them get brutally murdered. Especially the nurse. Oh my gosh. Getting crushed by an elevator is a nightmare. No offense. When you first step on an elevator and the lights start flickering and shaking, yeah, I'm getting off the elevator. I'm not riding that crap again. So some of the other themes that it dives into, it deals with isolation, considering that Mei Misaki is acted as dead. She has to be careful. She has to be careful on who she talks to, or she can't really talk to anyone, and Koichi turns to be the also one that they cannot talk to as well. So they both feel the isolation with no one talking to them. And like I said before, the show deals with ineffective adults, like very, very ineffective. They could have just not filled the classroom and they would have been fine. And then hopelessness. Once things go down, you just start losing hope even further. So to dive a little bit into the merchandising is our next subject. The merchandising of this show is very limited. There's not many things made specifically for another, corporate doesn't, I'll give an example. Usually when there's a show, they would have merch selling out to help promote their show. Well, there's nothing like that at all. Instead, it's third-party vendors, as in fans and other people that make T-shirts of the show, stickers, and whatnot. It's also hard to even look up this show. I try to find many theories, and it just keeps going to review videos and all their animes, and it's hard to look it up because the name is Another. So when you look up Another Anime 2012, it just thinks like another anime to find in 2012. It's just hard to look it up, and I've tried so many different types of way to type it in. Like I said before, they have the novel first, and the graphic novel, and then the show. They also have some figurines sold for the show as well. I would like to get some of the merch for the show because I really do like the show a lot. I like the grittiness of it. I like the just darkness of the show. It's really beautiful. It's not like forced like at all. It's really, really pretty. I don't know the art. And then, so the deaths of this show kind of reminds me of, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Final Destination because you don't know who's going to die next and what from. Like, I'll give an example. Forget her name, but the first person who dies gets impaled by an umbrella. How many million chances do you know anyone that's really getting impaled by an umbrella? That's very rare. You have to be very clumsy and very unlucky for that to happen. And it just makes you think every time Koichi talks to someone or gets close to someone, they're going to die. And it kind of did make you think that by the way they made the format of the show, because after that, he gets really close to the nurse and she dies, but she gets crushed by an elevator. And the horrific sounds of her screaming and groaning from getting crushed by the elevator on the phone while on the phone with her is scary as heck. That is terrifying. I wish I could. I don't know if I can even play it here. Let me see if I can find it. But oh my gosh, that scene is so dark and so scary. I don't even want to think about it, honestly. Just there's so many deaths that just randomly happens. But here's a sound that you hear in this death of that nurse. It's terrifying. Here, I'll turn it down a little bit. Like, that's terrifying. Holy crap, like, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the phone. I wouldn't want to be Koichi in that moment. That is terrifying to hear. Like, holy moly. No. But, like, that is one of my least favorite kills because it's the saddest, because I thought the nurse was like the detective of the show. Like, she did so much for Koichi himself, and she did not deserve that death. There's especially the first one as well. She was really nice too. She offered the umbrella coverage to not get wet by their. I don't know. Some of these characters I love so much. They're so great. They don't deserve the deaths that none of them really do, honestly. But some of them kind of go crazy and be like, okay, what is your point? Why are you doing this? Especially the last two episodes. It makes you think, why are you making these decisions and why are you doing this? All right, there's enough of me rambling for the first 15 minutes. I'm going to send you guys back over to the amazing soundtrack of Another. I'm going to be back on at 10:30. We'll be coming back to the news and whatnot. So yeah, this is AJ with the Plexi Film Show, WXUT 88.3, Toledo's only alternative. And I'll send you guys back over to the amazing soundtrack of Another. Enjoy. Relaxing jazz, good vibes, and small artists investigating the dead. What's not to love? Join host Xander as he and others embark on a weekly ghost hunt and discuss their findings and spotlight small artists every Sunday. The Witching Hour and a Half airs Sundays from 8 p.m. to 9:30 here on 88.3 FM, WXUT, Toledo's only alternative. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to WXUT 88.3, Toledo's only alternative, and this is AJ with the Plexi Film Show, and we are going to be continuing to talk about Another. And Another is an amazing show. I hope you guys enjoyed the amazing soundtrack of the show so far. I'm sorry for the ads between the music. I could not find any other, I could not find on Spotify another soundtrack in any way, shape, or form. But since, we're at it, we're going to be talking about the weather this week. I forgot to state this before, considering I love the show so much. Isn't it weird to have me by myself again? Oh my gosh, no one's here. It's just me talking to myself, yapping again, which is sad because I really want to talk about the show with other people because I have yet to find any other people, any other people that has seen the show besides for me. I was recommending this show from my online friends, but other than that, I have not met anyone in person that has watched this show other than me. So if you know, or if you're listening and you hear this right now and you've watched the show, please comment down below and say I seen the show or I have or something. Just an emoji. How about that? Send an emoji with your hand up. That'll be perfect. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the weather for the week. Considering this past week was our spring break, and it is crazy that we did not have a nice spring break until this literally today and yesterday. It's kind of crazy. It's been crappy all week. Monday, high of 67, low of 54. Tuesday, high of 71, low of 55. Wednesday's high of 66, low of 33. Thursday's high of 42, low of 34. Friday is high of 49, low 30. And then Saturday is high of 43. But all throughout the week, it's supposed to be a decently windy week. So if you're going outside with your hairstyle, make sure you put a bald cap on or a beanie on because your hair is going to be flying everywhere if you don't. And if you do have a hat on, make sure it does not fly away from you. Other than that, there is a chance of rain throughout the whole week as well. I think it's kind of funny that Tuesday is going to be our hottest day, and it's going to go back down really quickly again. So enjoy this amazing weather while we have it right now, because who knows when we'll get it back again. But it is crazy that we are staying consistent in the 40s, so that's good. I kind of liked 40s. I kind of wish it was, stayed 40 all year round, but that's just me. I like the cold. We're going to be continuing on to talk about the news as well. I didn't have much news for the week. There hasn't been a lot of news this week. The biggest news would be Scary Movie 6 trailers just dropped. I've always been a big fan of Scary Movie since I was a kid, and I loved it since. I just think it's a fun series to watch on the side. I mean, it's made by the same people that made White Chicks, and if you don't know what that movie, just watch it. It's great. Jokes are very aged, but same with Scary Movie. But I feel like in this time and is the best time to bring back spoof movies, because I feel like we are losing fun with movies anymore, or anything TV show or video game oriented. I feel like it's so competitive now to a point where it's just taken too seriously. We need to just have fun while making this, because I feel like all the fun in any of these movies anymore these days are just not fun anymore. Like, they're just too serious. Like, it's good to have a movie serious every once in a while, sure, cool and not, but you can still have fun making a serious movie. But I just feel like people are taking it way too serious to the point where it's not making it fun anymore. Some other good news is that Boys TV show season 5 final trailer drops 1 month before the premiere, which the first episode was announced for the date. It is announced that it will be April 8th for the first episode to drop. So if you're a big Boys fan, stay tuned for that. I've never seen The Boys, never started it. Should I watch it? I don't know. There's a lot of shows I do need to watch. I'm not a big TV show kind of guy. I mean, you can tell I watch a lot of miniseries, but that's okay. Life is Strange Reunion launches March 26th. I'm so excited for this game. I don't know when they'll be going to dropping a physical version of the game, and I kind of wish I bought the physical game for double exposure, but I think I was really too impatient with that game. Because I feel like the game is just a lot more enjoyable to have physically, but that's just me. Felicia Rose from Sleepaway Camp will make an appearance in Scary Movie 6. If you have not seen Sleepaway Camp, go watch it. It's the main protagonist that you realize is doing the killings. Spoiler there. Obviously, this show is a big spoiler. There's no hiding from it. So, just a heads up. The Bear is ending with its 5th season. I know my brother was a big fan of that. I remember going to his house this past week to take him to the dealership, and I told him, hey, did you know that The Bear's going to be ending? And he's like, oh my gosh, no, I did not. That's sad. And I don't know, is it that good? If it's good, let me know. Oh no, I want to hear from you guys what you think of that. It does look good. It kind of reminds me of more of a realistic version of Gordon Ramsay. So, who knows? MCR's 21st anniversary fans were celebrating the 21st anniversary of the song Helena this past week. Show Speed conquered 35-hour Walking Dead marathon without sleep. I don't know if he did the show with that, because if so, that's not enough time. I'm guessing something else. Maybe the game. Maybe the show. If it's the show, I'm very impressed. Seth MacFarlane uses AI, sadly, for Bill Clinton's cameo in Ted Season 2, which is going to be on Peacock, which is crazy to think it went from, I think, Netflix to... I think it might have been Netflix to Peacock now, which is crazy. I feel like when it comes to old presidents that are dead or not dead, or if they don't want to be in it, I feel like you should at least have permission to use their face. And if they're dead, have permission from the family, obviously. And deep fake the face. You don't need to use AI generated. I mean, deep fake is what they used in Forrest Gump with all the presidents that is used in that movie. So I feel like when it comes to that, just use deep fakes. But even then, I think it's still the AI generated stuff, but it's better than just straight using AI for the whole model. So that's just me. Favorite character for this show? Gosh, I love a lot of the characters. I feel like there's so many of the characters that kind of had better credit and I could ship. At first, I shipped Mei Misaki and Koichi. And then I went to ship, forget her name. I have it right here. Izumi Akazawa. Especially with the flashbacks you see with them two, I feel like they could have definitely been a thing. Personally, I really think they could have had a thing going on, but that's just me. But overall, my favorite character would have to be Tsunae Mizuno, which is the nurse, and Mei Misaki. I don't know. I don't really know if I really like the main character. I try not to. I feel like that's just stereotypical. But I genuinely liked Mei Misaki. She's such a lovable character. She's so sweet. She's so adorable, and she's not doing a single thing to hurt anybody. And then same with Mizuno. Mizuno was like, not Aunt May, or MJ. Is like just pretty much like MJ in Spider-Man. Just, that person that's there to support you, obviously without the relationship aspect, but just that person that is willing to do a lot of work and research for you, which I find really awesome about her. And then I took the character quiz this week for it, and it's on Quote TV or quotev.com/quiz. I'll give you the link on the website, obviously, so if you want to find that, feel free to do that. The notes for the show will be up after the show. But the character that I got is Koichi Sakakibara. Koichi is shown very curiously personality and is determined to find out what happened 26 years before the main storyline. Generally, Koichi is very calm, friendly, warm-hearted, cheerful boy, and sociable since his first day at Yomiyama North Middle School and getting along fairly well with everyone. Koichi also enjoys reading books in his spare time. Also, he mentioned wanting to go to the fine arts school to study carving and sculpting. Although sociable, he also a rather timid boy for the most part, which I agree. I don't know if I really agree that I'm fully him, but with the calm, I shouldn't say I'm not really calm, but the friendly, warm-hearted, I try to be cheerful as much as I can, and I can be sociable when I really want to. So one thing I did find really cool about this website that I took, it shows everybody's results. So like the top 5 results, like the most popular characters that people are getting are Mei Misaki, Koichi, Mochizuki, and Tatsuji, and Noya Teshigara. Mine, and then it showed jury's top 5 results that you could have got. And obviously Koichi, and the one that I was actually surprised is Ayano. She was the art student. He almost died from the glass pane falling off the truck that Koichi saved, which I find crazy that I almost got her. Like, I'm a big art person. I really like art. But she was more like a fangirl to Koichi, which is really weird. So I don't know what her result or her description would be for that. And then same thing with the third one. I got Noya Teshigawara, which is the jock, which is the 5th result overall that people could get, and that's 3rd on my list. I'm nothing like that jock, personally. And then Mei Misaki, obviously. And then Akazawa Izumi, which was the redhead that you see that I would have to say would be potential love interest. I feel like she definitely has a really kind and sweet personality that you don't really get to have a chance with. And the show doesn't give it. I do have both the novel and the manga. I haven't really gotten far in either of those, considering I started on the Scott Pilgrim comics myself. But that's just me. I'll get to them eventually. I'll probably read them along with Scott Pilgrim. But right now, I'm really in the zone. I'm locked in on Scott Pilgrim's manga books or comic books, whatever you want to call them. Graphic novels, probably graphic novels. I'm on volume 3, almost done. I'll be on volume 4. I've been trying to read each volume each week and forcing myself to read a lot more because I want to get into reading again. Because I used to be a really big reader as a kid. I would go to football games and basketball games for my brothers, and I'd be reading a book, which is sad to think about, but that's just what I did. I just don't care much about sports, and if you know me, you really know that I don't care about sports. And me having a job within sports, I am a cameraman for sports, so I'll be going out to baseball games. I do basketball games. Those are only... Oh, I've done a soccer game. That one was different. I really like watching that. But I've... Just seeing me being that person that's doing that is really weird because I don't care about sports in any way, shape, or form. And I respect those who do, but I just genuinely do not care about sports. The only sport I enjoy watching is hockey. But even then, it's not my whole personality. And I feel like for those who love sports, make it their whole personality, which can be toxic from time to time. But that's just me. I do love hockey, though. I do love it. But it is weird. I do want to get reading again. And my punishment for me to read is finish the books that I do have before I buy any other extra books. So right now I'm trying to get the whole Scott Pilgrim series, considering that is one big book in itself. And once I finish all 6 volumes, I'll be buying a new book or continuing on with the graphic novel. So it is currently 10:45. I will be going on another 15-minute break. I want to send you guys back over to the soundtrack of the show. I hope you guys are enjoying this episode so far. I know it's not much, but we still have plenty more to go. We will be returning with some more theories, or some theories. I was only able to find 2, and they're not really big theories, but I did make a theory. So if you have comments that you want to say about that theory, feel free to do so. Or any of this, feel free to comment. But yeah, we're going to be going on a 15-minute break. This is AJ with the Plexi Film Show, WXUT 88.3, Toledo's only alternative. And I'll see you guys on at 11 o'clock. See you then. Bye. Flying with the Ace, nothing but classic rock from vinyl and cassette era. Tune in and rock out with us from 10 p.m. to midnight on Thursday nights. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to WXUT 88.3, Toledo's only alternative. And this is AJ with the Plexi Film Show. And today we're going to be continuing to talk about Another. Another is a wonderful show. Can I repeat that so many times? It's such a beautiful show. I recommend you watching it. I really do. It is worth your time. It's such a beautiful game show. It's such a beautiful show. We're going to be diving into some of the theories tonight. We will have 2 of them. And it starts out with Izumi's huge mistake. And Izumi is that redhead girl that I talked about, which is the leader of this class to hopefully stay alive. She didn't really do a good job at all trying to keep this class alive. I mean, you would think she would do a better job at communicating with students, but she didn't. She didn't tell Koichi anything, and even when talking to Misaki, she still doesn't tell him anything, which makes things, worse. She blames Mei Misaki for everything, which isn't good to do. The cure started when Mei Misaki's cousin died, but she thought it would start when Mei Misaki is talked to, which you realize that in the show. Since the class, the class back 20 or more years before this, it's all started 20 years ago, and it never actually ended, and it continued. Like, it just came back. Since the class, always has an extra student, they would treat them like they didn't exist. So the curse doesn't, start or worsen, but no one told Koichi about that in any way, shape, or form until everything was too late. Izumi's brilliant idea was now then to make both of them, non-existent. Because if making one wasn't already making things worse, let's try two. And it's still going to make things worse because clearly one didn't work in the first place when what kept the class before alive is only one. So why would two work if one didn't work in the first place? Clearly there's someone that's still alive that's not being ignored. And you figure that out at the end, obviously. 1, to 2 deaths per month usually throughout, because this is all happening within a year and a half. And it's so crazy to think about because you think it's happening within a span of a day or a week or even a month. But no, this show is very fast-paced. You don't realize time is actually going by until they say the time. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. 1 to 2 deaths per month usually, but with the new charm of decision making and making them 2, 7 deaths tend to happen in a month instead. They went on vacation to a mansion to figure out the curse, and then 10 more people died, which is way above their already max limit of their highest kill count, and you'll realize that once we get to the deaths. The whole class was pretty much killed off, pretty much. She would also blame others and make dumb decisions without any thought, obviously. She nurtured the curse rather than actually trying to stop it. And, yeah, it's not really a theory. It's kind of like, just pointing out the obvious. And that's the only thing, because finding anything for this show is already really hard to find anything. Because you type in another and they think you're looking for a different anime. So it gives you a bunch of animes rather than, even if you type in another show anime, it thinks you're looking for another show that's anime rather than the show titled anime or another. And then you would type in another 2012 anime show and it still won't pop up for like theories and whatnot, which is really annoying. So that is the first theory that you hear. Another horrifying theory would have to be, crazy to think about. So I'm going to go through it and I'll see what you guys think. The show would go from normal to occasionally dipping into, abnormal, throughout the series. Some problems that occur when a character goes from normal to completely eerie out of nowhere. And so pretty much this whole theory points out is the issues and positives of the show. That's pretty much what the theory is and the scary aspects of it. And I have to agree, like some of the characters would literally just out of nowhere change immediately with their perspectives and opinions on things, which makes you think it's a curse, but also why would a curse immediately make you feel like you need to kill someone? Like immediately. They'll go from an actual human being to, oh my gosh, you are going to die. Like they turn like a 360, and it's just, that's one problem with the show or the universe. It's just crazy. 360. It builds an impressive atmosphere with a combination of danker visuals, very really crude visuals, and some brilliant audio work. I mean, if you're hearing the soundtrack, soundtrack's beautiful. I mean, it's not long, not much, but the sounds, the sound effects, I mean, you heard the death of the nurse. That is terrifying. So I think they did really good with the, the voice and the sound effects. The lighting of the show is wonderful. It hides someone in the darkness every once in a while, and they do really good. And it's kind of downplays the deaths in the show. Like, sure, like they realize, oh my gosh, it's bad. But they just act like it's normal that someone just dies. Like, well, I guess we're going to be continuing school now. Or, oh no, this person's dead. I'm going to kill you. Don't even acknowledge that they died. Just not, are you, like, bro, they just completely ignore it. They just go, oh no, and they move on. There's a mystery element in the first few episodes where the audience is left in the dark and unknown, which is really nice that they do that. I like shows that make you think and whatnot, but then you kind of just lose all of that once it tells us that Mei Misaki is a doll. Is a doll and doll maker. It's very complicated, but once that's revealed, and especially with the teacher trying to help him, it's like, okay, there's how many episodes left? What else is there? Other than just, oh, we gotta find the person that's dead and kill them, and that's the mystery's gone. So it kind of just it kind of loses its oomph, like the big oomph mystery, other than who's the dead one. It does a really well job at making the town seem untrustworthy, and it can be anybody that is the dead person, which is even scary to think about, because not even the person that is dead, has already died before and came back to life, knows that they died before, which is scary to think about. Just imagine you be like, you realize that you've already died before in your previous life, and you just come back with new memories or pre-existing memories, but not the ones of how you died. That's just awful. That'd be scary to think about. The show just outright reveals everything during the second act. That's why already told. The mystery goes from Mei Misaki to who is the dead person. The show just stops for a while in the beach episode with no character or story impact. This kind of just feels useless. And I can agree with that at some point. I mean, the beach scene didn't entirely feel useless to me, but I feel like it counteracts the characters a little bit, especially Izumi. Maybe she's genuinely a nice person inside, but every episode before and after, you see her as brutal, not nice in any way, shape, or form, and just very mean. And then same thing with the flashback. She's just nice. So I'm like, is that her just putting on a serious role for, the position that she's in? And when she's not on, her job or and hanging with friends, she just kind of drops that persona and just relax. Who knows? And then I kind of agree with the story just ends, but it really doesn't. It really makes you think you're supposed to be relaxed along with the characters, and then one of them dies by a boat accident, which is just, I feel like that is not a useless episode. I feel like it just shows you no matter where you go, you're still in danger, which is just crazy to think about. I love that. I just find it really cool and really sick. It relies to keep the viewer by its kills and gore, which I omit. The deaths are very worth seeing, but it also, with the gore, it makes you not relate, but feel something towards each character. Besides, the last two episodes, the last two episodes make you feel everyone deserves to die besides, Koichi and Mei Misaki. So it's just, oh my gosh. The aunt was also the just big reveal at the end. Just makes me sad because I really liked her too. She seemed really cool to Koichi, and just, like I said, I thought she was a sister because of how chill and cool she was and close she was to Koichi. The show lost its audience by not committing what the show wanted to stick to and follow through, which was the mystery aspect. And I agree with that. I feel like it really went from Sherlock Holmes to supernatural feeling to it to, everyone's going to die and you have no control over that. So, yeah. So I looked up a video of how to beat the curse. I mean, we already see them beat the curse. Obviously, the obvious answer is finding the person that is dead and killing them, which would be easier if Mei Misaki actually took her patch off at the beginning and just looked around and see who the dead person was and just tell Koichi. And that's how to beat the curse. So, or tell the classmates as well. But what this video decided on was that they should kill Takaku Sugiura and Izumi, or make it clear that to everyone in the last two episodes, especially in that mansion, on the intercom, that Takaku, or I don't know if I'm saying that name right, I hope I am, but probably not, it doesn't sound right, is crazy and out of her mind, and make them switch opinions and just kill her. Because I feel like just out of nowhere, she's like, just like Izumi, it's Mei Misaki, it's Mei Misaki. And I also would have to find, like, one of my favorite moments in the last 2 episodes would be Izumi, pointing out the obvious to one of the characters that it wasn't Koichi, which was just so funny. She's like, "You are a dummy for thinking it's Koichi." And then it's just out of nowhere, "I'm going to kill Koichi and Mei Misaki. It's clearly Mei Misaki." And I'm just like, wow, you had me for a second on your side, and now you lost my trust again. But yeah, that's pretty much what they said with that. But obviously, the obvious answer is just having Mei Misaki take off her eye patch, use her eye. Obviously, she could write notes around the school or post on the desk on who the real dead one was and point out the tape as well to kill the dead one and put on the tape on who the dead one is. Considering she really can't talk to anyone if that's still the case, but if she could, she would just, here's the tape, listen to this, and I know who it is, and be like, I have the eye that can see the death. That would be cool. That would be just the easiest way to do it. So we're going to dive into the kill count, obviously. There is a lot of deaths in the show. There is a total of 26 to 27 deaths, if not more, if you really count some of the extras that you see. But I'll break down each episode specifically. Episode 1 has 0 deaths. Episode 2 has 0 deaths. Episode 3 is the first time you see someone die, which is Sakakibara, which was impaled by the umbrella. Then you see episode 4 with 2 deaths, which you see Mizuno, which was a nurse getting crushed by the elevator. And you see that Sakuragi, mother was killed, which is really sad. That you see her, dying from the umbrella. In the next episode, you see that her was told that her mother was also killed. And then episode 5, you see 1 death, which you see Tuko Takebayashi, about to tell the information to Koichi, and then has like a heart attack and dies. Episode 6 has 0 deaths. Episode 7 has 3 deaths, which is Mei's sister. The teacher himself, offs himself. And then you see the teacher killed his own mother as well. So that's 3 deaths right there. And then episode 8 has 1 death, which is Junta Nakayo, which was death by the boat or / head injury, which could either be considered 1 or 2 deaths. So it was rumored that was told that he already had a brain injury and was already knocked out before he was killed in the boat accident. It could be the current of the waves knock him out and killed him and drown him by drowning in the water. When waves are very violent enough, water could get down your throat and you could drown, or you can get knocked out by the pressure and the strength of the water. So you see that happening either way. Episode 9 has the second most deaths of the series. You have the truck crash for Atsushi. Agura crash into the apartment / house and kill him on his desk. You see a 3-person crash, which is crazy to see. And then there's like a flashback scene of the other class. You see someone that falls off the mountain, which is Yuki Hashikawa. And then you see someone get electrocuted by lightning, which was Jun Haguchi. And then episode 10 has 1 death in it, which is an unnamed student, which was impaled by Matsuga. Episode 11 has 4 deaths, which was Takako Sugiura, which was hung by the wires when trying to kill Koichi. And you see Makoto Uiji, which was the person that opened up the door of the mansion, and it got obliterated like dust, the fireball to the face. And then you see Yumi Agura falling to her death. And then you see the resort manager dying as well. Episode 12, which was the number 1 of all of the most deaths of this show, which is crazy to think about. Episode 12 has 8 deaths. Reiki Mikami, which was stabbed before because she's already died before, which could be also as well the 1 or 2 deaths. depending on if you consider her coming back to life a second death or not. Either way, I agree with it being the second death because, she's died twice. You had to kill her again anyways. So she was first stabbed and shoved into the water with her first death, and then she was pickaxed by Koichi. So Izumi Akazawa was impaled by a glass from the window busting open and pinning her up against the wall, and the glass just rips her to shreds. Tomohiko Kazami was bashed on the head. Crazy. Aki Matsui was killed by a knife. Kenzu Kawari was killed by a pillar landing on him. And then a crazy resort lady was killed by a stick. And then, because you see, I forget that teacher's name that helps Koichi and Mei Misaki out, but he kills her with a stick, which is a funny scene to see. Kyoko Faniki was also killed by a knife. So out of all of that, this show has between 26 to 28 deaths. I would have to say 27, because I feel like the head injury one just is initially killed him and the boat finished him off. And then obviously, with Riko Mikami dying twice makes sense. So 27 deaths, I feel like, is the total for this show. We are going to go on a break, guys. It is currently 11:18. I'll be coming back to you guys with the fun facts and the last question of the night, which is to myself, obviously, which I will answer. It is currently 11:18. If you take 15 minutes away from here, let's see here. 15 minutes, it will be 10:34 when I come back on. So I'll see you guys in 15 minutes. This is AJ with the Plexi Film Show. I'm going to be sending you guys back on to the amazing soundtrack of another. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to WXUT 88.3, Toledo's only alternative, and this is AJ with the Plexi Film Show, and we are going to talk about another. I'll be finishing up this episode for the night with this fun facts, and I came up with one last question for myself that I'm going to think about right on the spot. And I honestly am excited to answer this question. But first, let's go through the fun facts. So the 29th of October in 2009, the novel came out, which is crazy to figure out only 3 years later this anime or novel was picked up to turn into a show. Either way, the manga adaptation was May 2010 all the way to January 2012. And then right when the manga came out, between January and March of 2012, another came out, and I think it's a great time because it is March now, like the beginning of March right now. This is probably when the show ended, considering it is, it's a miniseries, so it probably dragged it out, and it was on air, so it dragged itself out for a while, for 3 months. I don't know how they did that, probably an episode a week. That's honestly impressive for 12 episodes. So yeah, I feel like this was the perfect timing for another, without on purpose, by the way. I just wanted to do another miniseries, and I've been wanting to talk about the show with someone, and I never got anyone to talk about it with, so I'm still here. So if you are a fan out there of this show, and you want to find another fan that likes the show as much as I do and want to talk about it, please DM me on Instagram. It's Plexi Film Show on Instagram. Please text me if you want to talk to me about this show. Please come to me. I want to talk about the show with you guys. The 4th of August, live action film came out in Japan in 2012 as well. The episode names are steps to doll making. I did not know that. I'm going to look at the names of the show or names of the episodes. I think this show is really brilliant. Let's look at these episodes here. So we got Rough Sketch, we got Blueprint, Bone Work, Put Flesh, Build Limbs, Face to Face, Sphere Joint, Hair Stand, Body Paint, Glass Eye, Makeup, Stand by Oneself, and then the other, which is the 13th episode. I could not find that episode at all. It's like a prequel to, and it tells more about this story of Mei Misaki, and I could not find that episode. So if you guys can also find that one, and yeah, let me know. But yeah, I find that really interesting that each episode is, about how to make a doll, which is really correlated with the show of Mei Misaki itself. Creator of this anime also disliked umbrellas, and he wanted to make fans hate them as well, which I find really dark and cruel, but it makes sense for a guy that made a dark and cruel show. The characters for Mei Misaki, her name, means to cry, scream, and so I'm guessing the M means cry, and then scream is the E, and the I is like the Japanese ornamental tree famous for its white and pink blossoms, which is very cool to think about because obviously this is, a Japanese anime and it's their own characters. And I think it's really cool that, I don't know, I just think that's really cool to correlate. The novel, Koichi was targeted by so many bullies at his other old school due to his last name being Sakakibara, which is the same name as a real-life middle school murderer from Kobe, which is sad to think about, honestly, that he was bullied just because of that. The novel dives into Izumi. Akazawa is, more of a minor character rather than this show, considering she doesn't appear until page 200 when she confronts Mei. And she also survives in the novel, but killed in everything else, such as the manga, the movie, and the show, which is really crazy to think about. Raiko had died. The first was Koichi, grandma saying it was a year and a half. So, So Riko, was the aunt for Koichi. We figure that how she died, and it kind of the show, drop hints of that by saying it was a year and a half ago since her funeral when they got the bird, which is crazy to think about. And then Riko was also an art club leader, and then when she died, there was no club for a little while. There were some other things along with that. All that extra fun that I talk about in the show is on my WordPress, AJ Ronick WordPress. You can go to the WXUT and you can find every notes for each episode if you keep scrolling. Daisuke wasn't the sick one in the manga. It was actually Sakakibara who fell sick during the dinner scene, which is crazy to think about because I feel like that would be more interesting to see rather than just a random character that we barely know get sick. That's just me. And you would see that growth in that character as well. The story was said to be based on a true story by the author. It was probably inspired and then very dramatized for the anime and the show itself. Obviously, that's an obvious one, but I still think it's cool that it was based on an old, 19th, 18th, 17th century, cursed class where deaths just kept happening. So it was probably a story based on that, probably. The last question I have for myself for the end of the night, which I'm excited to talk about, which is what class would I teach if I was the teacher for class 3? I think I would teach the basics to living, considering you're living on death row, pretty much. You never know when you're going to die. I mean, considering the teacher, offed himself. But I feel like if I was a teacher for that class, I would teach survival instincts, what to avoid and what to watch out. Go over the basic rules of the class as well and what to keep an eye out for. And I feel with a class like this, you are going to need a group chat or some way of a weekly meeting other than just class to, meet up and conversate and talk about stuff like this. I don't know. I just feel like with this class, they're very separated. They're all to themselves. They're not really coming together other than maybe the leaders. Other than that, it's kind of I just feel like self-defense as well. I mean, you're not really fighting any specific person or another, but I feel like self-defense would also just be good to have for a class like that. Endurance, because considering with all these characters, they somehow die with not running fast enough or running too fast. So I feel like balance and endurance would be nice to go over. I don't know, just basic survival instincts would be a good class to teach or good things to teach for a class like this. I feel like also teaching these students, considering they're all in uniform, I would teach these students how to dress up where they don't look all similar. So fashion class would be nice. I mean, these are just kind of fun classes at this point I'm kind of throwing out there, considering what I see in the show. All the characters are not really iconic for their looks, besides for Mei Misaki, and even that she's, she looks familiar to another character that looks like her from a different anime. But you would think Koichi looks drastically different, but I think he looks very similar to the main protagonist in Sword Art Online. I can't remember who the main protagonist name of that show of SAO. Kirito. He looks very similar to Kirito, especially with the black hair and the very skimpy, very skinny. I mean, be it all Japanese anime, all looks very skinny, but they both have the I'm good and innocent kind of vibe to them. So I feel that it's worth going into that they look very similar. So I wish each character, especially the main protagonist, had their own look to it. And I just find that really sad that they don't. That's all I have to talk about for tonight, but we do have 15 minutes left. I know you probably are tired of listening to this soundtrack over and over, but I like this soundtrack. It's very short, but it's very simple, very dark, very grotesque. I meant not groom. Ugh, that's disgusting. Grotesque. But I don't know. I just really like the dark atmosphere. It kind of reminds me of the gothic style of anime. And it's sad to think about that this anime is now considered a classic, considering it was made in 2012. So it's old enough to be considered a classic, which is very sad to me because I got into this anime during COVID. So yikes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me yap about the show. I'm sorry that this is very, short of an episode considering it's me by myself. But I think I did pretty good for, talking about this stuff all by myself. And if you guys are willing to talk about this stuff more in depth with me, feel free to DM me on Instagram, Plexi Film Show, and you can find me, just DM me and talk to me. All right. I love you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll put you guys back onto the amazing soundtrack of Another for the last 15 minutes of this. Next week, we are going to be talking about Queen's Gambit for the season finale, so that's the announcement for that. So, again, next week, we'll be talking about Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit, which is also another miniseries, but it is 12 to 13 episodes long, and each episode's an hour. So I'm going to grind this show this week. So no excuses for me this week. I'm probably not going to get any sleep so I can grind the show. I had no time at all this week to watch the show because I was rewatching Another so I can make time. Because when it comes to these shows, sure, if it's a show that I haven't seen in more than a year, then I would like to rewatch it so it's a refresher so I'm not just yapping with nothing. And considering I've never seen Queen's Gambit, I've got to watch it. So I'd like to make sure I watch it from beginning to end. But if I saw Another more so recent, like maybe a month or two ago, then I wouldn't have watched it and started Queen's Gambit instead. But that's besides the point. But yeah, we'll be talking about Queen's Gambit next week. I hope you guys are excited for that. This show is really popular. It's talked about in many of my film classes, and I'm finally going to watch it. So if you guys are interested on joining in on talking about Queen's Gambit as well, please DM me on my Instagram and let me know. All right, this is the end of the Plexi Film Show tonight. We'll be ending 13 minutes early. Enjoy the amazing soundtrack of Another. This is AJ with the Plexi Film Show, WXUT 88.3, Toledo's only alternative. Enjoy.